We're here today at GW Caravans in Derbyshire to take a closer look at caravan servicing. In this video, owner James Hogg takes us through some of the problems he finds with brakes and tyres.
Okay, one of the aspects of a service is obviously looking at the brakes and running gear on a caravan. We've taken the drum off and the one-shot nut, and what we can see here are the brake shoes and the brake linings, and then the various the expander and adjuster for the brakes. Also, we've got the drum. So on a service we will be checking the condition of the linings, make sure there's no cracks, make sure there's enough friction material left on the shoe. Also, we're doing a visual inspection round just to make sure everything's in position, nothing's dropped out. What we do then is grease the relevant components in here, clean up the shoes, clean out all the brake dust that's accumulated in the shoe, around the shoes and in the drum. Also, we're going to inspect the drum to make sure that there's no evidence of overheating or bluing or anything like that. Also, we would have checked the wheel bearing to make sure there's no noises or rumbles or anything and no play in the bearing. This is the one-shot nut, the famous one-shot nut that everybody gets charged for. It's a crimped nut, particularly on Alco running gear. It's a crimped nut, so it can only be used once. So now this nut's been taken off, we'll replace it with a new nut. The little red marking here is a marking that we put on to show that it's been put on and torqued up to the correct torque, and so if anything should happen, if the drum should fall off, the bearing should fail, and Alco need to inspect it, they can see that it's been marked by an Alco service centre to say that it's been torqued up and done properly. Here we've got some examples of brake shoes that we've replaced for various reasons. This one, you can see the lining is starting to come away from the shoe itself, so it's only a matter of time before that detached completely. This is an example of one that has detached completely, and this was rattling around in the bottom of the drum, so obviously offering very little braking effect. This is a shoe, like tyres, brake shoes and the linings on brake shoes will very rarely wear out. More often than not they'll deteriorate with age, and this one you can see we've got cracks and pitting on the shoe, so that's the reason we replaced that. Plenty of friction material left on there, but obviously it's going to start to disintegrate over time. This one, for some reason, became detached. The complete shoe became detached and was rattling around, caused excessive heat in the drum as well. And as you can see, it's bent, and like I say, the reason for that coming adrift is unknown, but obviously we fitted a new set of brake shoes for that one. And that one is one of the rare occasions where you see a brake shoe that is actually worn out. It has actually worn a little bit too far. It should have been replaced before we got our hands on this one, but you can see on the leading edge of the shoe it's lost virtually all of its friction material. Tyres are an important aspect of the service, checking them. This is a tyre, so it's not an old tyre by any stretch of the imagination. It's dated 2006 as its date of manufacture. The tread seems absolutely fine, but on closer inspection we can see where cracks are starting to appear between the sidewall and the tread, and a common issue here would be that then the tread would start to delaminate from the tyre. So that's obviously a tyre that we've recommended is replaced. This is a 2008 tyre, so a little bit newer, but on close inspection these faults are more obvious when the tyre is inflated. We've got crazing appearing on the sidewall, which is usual when a tyre has been left in one position over a long period of time over the winter months. So we've got crazing on the sidewall and also cracks appearing around the bead of the tyre. So again, that's something that we would recommend is replaced. If we look at the tread, plenty of tread left on, lots of little knobbly bits, looks like a brand new tyre, but it's this issue on the sidewall that meant that we recommended to the customer that it was replaced. This one it's a slightly older tyre, but it was still being used on a Caravan, and again the tread looks absolutely fantastic. Would have no reason to replace that at all, but when we spun the tyre you can see that there's a really bad deformity in the tyre. That may have been created by it being stood in one place. It might just be a fault in the tyre. We've actually got parts of the inner of the tyre sticking through the sidewall here as well. So obviously if somebody was just to do a general inspection on the tyre and check the tread depths, no problem, but that's obviously quite a severe example of what can go wrong.